on for the fucking Olympics and the fucking Super Bowl, according to the fucking elites, you know. They want that shit clear.
But also they're using COVID to silence people's voices at city council meetings under the guise of safety when it's bullshit.
Absolutely.
And that's the start of our live stream.
Good. I'm pissed. As usual.
Convo Couch.
Alright, I got the mic.
3 seconds. Give me a second, fams. Getting live on everything.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my purse in the back.
Sure.
I'm drunk right now.
Is it working? I don't know if it's working.
General George.
I'm out of here. Right, that's making it. Right, LAPD on the other side of the street, reintegration is true.
Sure?
Yeah.
Sure?
No. The left side.
Yeah.
Sanctioned encampments. Just like my brother said, they end up with concentration camps. In fact, we standing in concentration city. We got Skid Row that was a concentration camp. We got Little Tokyo that was a concentration camp. And we got Little Chinatown. Surrounded by concentration. That's all LA knows concentration. Right? Throwing people in cages. Right? And those cages, you know what I'm saying, trying to materialize day. This is what they trying to consider. So, you see that picture there? Sanctioned encampments. This is what it's going to. You know why? Because they have failed to produce housing for everybody. They building housing. Look up in there. Look at all them damn cranes. They building housing. They just ain't building it for every damn body. From First Street to Washington Boulevard, they done built a whole new damn city of condos and lots. Right? But they ain't even got out of the Jones agreements of just building 1,200 units just to get out of that. Right? Why? You understand? Because it's all about criminalization. So I got a message from the folks on Skid Row. You know, homeless folks on Skid Row that couldn't be here today. Can you hold that for me, brother? They couldn't be here today. I went around and talked to them. Right? And so this is what they say. The first one said, I don't think it's good to remove homeless people in such a manner. Find homes for people and fund homeless programs. Philly Roberts, age 51, Skid Row, right? I got to say this to the mayor. This is injustice because this is too much. Some people are sick or just can't get about like others. You don't have enough housing for all the homeless, right? So get some housing, shorty, before you move anybody out, right? I would cut the budgets going out of law enforcement and start spending it on creating solutions for those folks that are intent and city upgrades, right? Start off fresh, clean up LA streets and pay attention to making people, you know what I'm saying, feel more not like trash, like how you trying to treat people, by doing the right thing, right? LA is, if LA is the city of angels, y'all some devilish angels. City Hall should be renamed Shitty Hall because LA is a new Mississippi. So when you got homeless people, they more smarter than the mayor, all right? And so when you got homeless people that's talking like that, you know what I mean? It's time for a fight back. But I'm gonna tell you right now, we ain't going nowhere. Street watch, you know what I mean? Community watch, we on the block every day. And we out there organizing with homeless folks. And we gonna build a block by block fight back. And we gonna fight the city, we gonna fight LAPD. We gonna fight all you haters, block by block, for every square in the concrete. We gonna fight you both. And we gonna win because the power of the people is greater than the power of the state. Right? You cannot stop us. We gotta come together. We gonna run this mother other. So you come on with your 41.18D. We're gonna take you down just like we How you invest and how you spread your wealth is investing in people, getting them to look them in the best of yourself. That's how you look at humanity and dignity. If you want the best for yourself, then why can't you want the best for other people too, to live their best life? So today we're going to talk to a few people from Attack, J-Town Action Solidarity. We got other Street Watch. You name it. We have all of the hands on deck today here. But I also want the people that are not here, that if they can't be out here physically, they can also contribute to some of these well-deserved organizations that have been on the fight from the beginning. If you can, donate some time. Join up for some of the power-ups. Join up for some of the outreach that we're going to need to do to understand and educate the unhoused that are not here, that may not understand how this impacts them. So we're going to start off with a UTAC member, and UTAC stands for Unhoused Tenants Against Carceral Housing. And when we say carceral housing, it just don't mean out here in the street. We mean it in the shelters, Project Room Key, tiny sheds, you name it, or SROs, you name it. There is a belief system that they believe in order to house unhoused people that you have to treat them like they're in jail. They have to have curfews. They have to be searched. They have to have no keys and all of this ridiculous. They can't bring their partners into their homes like you would do when you leave here, go home to your home. You have a partner. If you do have a partner, or if you come and put a key in the house, how can that be a house if you don't have a damn key? So without further ado, to carry on the fight and educate us all, Mr. William Sins.
Morning, everyone. So, why we're really here is to change how people think. We're here to change history. And in order to do that, we all need to change how we view each other and how we treat each other. That's my main thing. I think nowadays people are really caught up in what is right in front of them. Their personal problems, their struggles, and we tend to block everyone around us and everything around us out. If we really want to make change, we're going to have to know our environment. We're going to have to educate ourselves about what's really going on. That means communicating with each other. So if you want to change things, communicate with the people around you. Talk to the unhoused people around you. Find out what's going on from them, not from the media, from the horse's mouth. And when you do that, have an open mind about what they're saying. Keep in mind that for everything that you might consider wrong with a person, mental ills or drug addictions, there's always a story behind it. They might not be sharing it with you right now, but there's a story behind it. Have compassion, have an open mind. We need to love each other if we're going to change this world for the better. That's all there is to it. Communication, compassion, love, valuing human life over $1. That's not too much to ask. Sometimes you might have a headache. You might be so irritated about your day and some person jumps in front of you asking for change and it startles you. Take a breath. Stop for a minute before you react to the situation. Treat this person like a human being, because they are a human being just like you. Even if they're saying weird stuff out of their minds, they're human beings. They need love and attention, just like the rest of us, maybe even more so. Don't let the hype scare you. We gotta stay together if we're gonna win this fight. That's all I got for today.
Thank you, Mr. Sims.
He touched on a very good point, because everyone, I noticed when Britney Spears was talking about ending her conservatorship against her father, people had an opinion about that. But unhoused people, many of them black and brown, don't have those conservative. We don't have the wealthy financial wherewithal to be able to get those kind of care, kind of treatment. So when we see people with mental health issues, our first thing is fear, repulsion, and then putting them, locking them away. That is not a solution. That is jail. Nobody wants to go to jail. And mental health issues are a health issue. The second thing is, you've heard from, I grew up hearing it from Nancy Reagan, just say no. That is not going to hit it in this opioid crisis, the substance usage crisis, just saying no. So it obviously is a health issue. And criminalizing and putting people in jail is not miraculously going to get people sober. It's going to indoctrinate them to thinking that they deserve to be mistreated. So in order for us to understand and be honest with each other about part of the issue of houselessness, all of unhoused people do not suffer from these maladies. But the most important thing we must understand is that what are we going to do? How are we going to create safe sites for people to be able to detox off of it? And that requires us to do it in your neighborhoods. Then we're also going to have to talk about how we're going to do trauma-informed care. Trauma-informed approach is not 41.18. Trauma-informed care is how we're going to be able to understand that it is not anyone's fault to have a mental health issue. The next question, before we move on, I want to have another UTAC member. I want to make sure I pronounce her name right. Miss Smith? Miss Smith of UTAC. I don't see her. Ah, there you are. Good morning.
I don't have a speech ready. I just want to speak with my heart. I want to deserve to feel like human. And since I've become homeless, that's the only thing that I'm struggling, is being treated like a piece of shit, low-life person. We all have struggles, and some of us, it just got us to a situation that we don't have a home. Why does it have to be a label to treat us like nobodies? And being harassed in the system that's supposed to help us, being in a homeless shelter that felt like a concentration camp, having staff that treat us like nobody because they can. We have the threat on our head all the time to be kicked out to the street. I just want to be human, and I want all my unhoused friends to be treated like human, on top of all the rights that we deserve like everybody else. What did we do wrong? We struggle a little bit more than others? Just treat us like human. We're no less than you are. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Humanity doesn't cost us anything, and kindness doesn't either. One of the things about 41.18 that we talk about is the weaponization of utilizing disabilities. Invisible disabilities are hard to judge because I don't have to walk up to you and tell you I'm disabled. But when you see visible disabilities and you're using it to weaponize the very same people that are disabled, then that's wrong. The next guest, Hal Selfmade, will talk a little bit about his experiences of houselessness.
My name's Hal. I was homeless here in LA for 3 years. I have recently been housed, and small victory though it is, my real work just is beginning. My housing struggles may have ended, but the real work begins now. It's not better until it's better for everyone. 48.18 goes out of its way to traumatize, brutalize, and dehumanize people who are already struggling. Other people who are struggling are not your enemies, people. We're just trying to live too. And we deserve that. We deserve that all the more for those who try to keep it from us. There is no reason why there are, 60,000 homeless people in LA County, other than rich people's greed and lack of empathy and not wanting to be confronted with the consequences of their own hoarding. If we could all learn just a little bit of empathy, we might avoid mutually assured destruction. That there is no other path to housing except housing. I have a very succinct and direct message to each and every city council member who thinks they have a right to legislate homeless people out of existence. Your mama and Jesus are disappointed in you. Fight, fight, fight. Housing is a human right. Fight, fight, fight. Housing is a human right. Fight, fight, fight. Housing is a human right. House keys. House keys, not handcuffs. House keys, not handcuffs. House keys, not handcuffs. House keys, not handcuffs. House keys, not handcuffs.
Thank you, Hal. House keys and handcuffs is definitely what we need. We're going to take a quick detour before. I'm going to introduce someone that at the time that I've known her, she's always had a ebullient, a very upbeat, and a humorous side of her. And she also is a very good person, and it is my honor to introduce you to Miss LaDonna.
All right. Well, you know what? I just want to talk about like the programs that they give unhoused people. It's just made to be like you don't want to go. Like on Edna and the San Fernando Valley, it looks like a work release program for prison. Yeah, like you know what I mean? Like this is California. Rent is high. Rent is extremely high. It is extremely high. It's not like we're living somewhere where you could rent like a 3-bedroom for like $700 or anything like that. Like the rent is high. Yeah, like I don't know. Yeah, like I don't know who works at McDonald's. Like you should be able to work at McDonald's and pay rent. You cannot. You cannot. You cannot. So if all the workers that are doing stuff for you, it can't even afford rent, you know what I mean? Like how are we supposed to get our hand up? And then and I feel like these government programs, like they're like even their names are made to like put me down. Like Project Room Key, it's called Project Room Key, yet no one has a room key. You know what I mean? Like I feel like they're like ha ha ha. You know what I mean? Have you ever seen a bridge home? I don't know if you guys live in homes and stuff. That's not no bridge to any home I've ever been from. Like what home are we coming from? You know what I mean? Like the bridge home looks like a prison. Colored by Martha Stewart. You know, just because they put some orange and some lime green, it's got barbed wires around it. Nobody's trying to get in that bitch. You know what I mean? And it's just like these tiny homes, that is so demeaning. It's a shed. Oh my God, dude, right? If you and when they tell you how much it costs to pay for that one, they could have just did an apartment building or something. You know what I mean? But they put us in a tiny home. It's a tiny shed. It's a cell. You know, it's a box. It's a cell. You know what I mean? For being homeless? No. And then you ask me why I don't want to go to these programs where as an adult, it's like a group home thing. You know what I mean? As an adult, I have to come in by 10 o'clock or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm homeless? No, I don't think so. Like, I didn't come in there because I have a record or whatever or any of that. You know what I mean? You're gonna put me in a tiny house. It's a shed. If you guys ever see the tiny house, it's demeaning. And any fucking city council person that fucking takes a picture by that and is okay with it is stupid. Yeah. It's fucking stupid. Yeah. It's fucking stupid. You're gonna keep me in a tiny shed and I have a curfew? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? No. No, these programs are made so we don't want to go. You know what I mean? I can make a tent with as much room as I want.
And come and go if you want.
Yeah, and come and go as I want.
Hell yeah. And shower.
You know what I mean? And not to mention, if you're a woman in these like group, you know, fucking shelters and stuff like that, they're so bothered. Not only are you harassed by the people that are going there, but staff too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They seem so bothered.
Oh, you had to do something.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, you know, like when they say, oh, there's programs and stuff like that. No, nobody wants to go to any of those where they can be harassed and demeaned. Like, it's a fucking shed. And if not, you're in a cubicle. Yeah. You know, the project, you know, room key, you know, it's better because you got your own, but it's still like, you know, it's still demeaning, you know what I mean? It's called Project Room Key. No one has ever had a key.
Right.
These are like just the things that I think of. Every time I hear like a name of a program, I always laugh. It always makes me fucking chuckle. Every time. I'm like, what's the name of it? Oh, Bridge Homes. I'm like, okay, so we just got doing 10 to 5. You know what I mean? Like, what bridge did we come from? And I don't even want to know where that bridge leads off from. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. And it's just like you want to displace us just to put us in this bullshit. And the whole thing is they could still do it and keep all the money.
Yep.
But you don't have to build some bullshit ass stuff. Like, I think it's just like so demeaning. Like they just built some, like, you know, you could have did that and still, like, you know, inflated your pockets without being so fucking demeaning. Real shit. And then on top of that, we have all these rules for what? Not being able to afford rent in California? Not in California, in Los Angeles. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And they wonder why we don't want to go. No, as an adult, I don't want to have a curfew just because I can't afford rent. You know, if I have to go to an interview, I have to ask my employer and all this other stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I have to show like proof and stuff. That automatically makes an employer biased against me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's all these hoops and everything. And as I've been in Project Room Key, my caseworker has never, ever really tried to get in contact with me.
Yeah.
Never. And it's just like, it's just made for like nobody. They're not doing their job. A caseworker should have a mandatory meeting with their client once a week, no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what. Should not be up to me to you know, it should be a standing thing. We know that's going on, and I show up. Reach out to me, do something, you know what I mean? Like, they ask all these questions. No. And then when I go downstairs to make an appointment, it's a week off. You know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous. Like, the programs aren't made, and the people that are working there have power trips, you know what I mean? And I just keep, you know, I'm arguing with these people, and, you know, they're, you know, like, because I'm a little bit late, you know, you want to kick me out and stuff like that. And I'm just like, you're not putting in kids to college on this fucking salary.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And they be just power tripping on us. Like, all of a sudden, I'm less than. Like, it's a whole cesspool of uncomfortableness. You know what I mean? And that's the programs that are being offered. Ran by fucking power tripping, regular old folk. With fucking carceral rules. You know what I mean? Like, even in jail, my sister could come and visit.
Right?
Real shit. Like, you know what I mean? We get written up if we visit inside the rooms. If I have a friend at the hotel, I can't go into their room. You know what I mean? And they wonder why people get isolated and get depressed and you know, they're just in their rooms getting their drugs in or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, and they make it sad, you know what I mean? Like, they have a pool there, they have a work, yeah, they have a gym and stuff, something that, you know, can maybe, we're not allowed. They even took out the ice machines. You know what I mean? When we get there, they take out the ice machines. Like, this is how this shit is ran. Like it's like given to us, but it's real carceral and it's real demeaning, and I just feel like it's unneeded. It's unneeded. And so if you wonder why we don't want to go to these programs, that is why.
Yeah.
Our next guest, we're going to do a second detour. Steve Diaz is going to speak to us about what he's on his heart. So,
hey everyone, so we're hearing today about the stories of how folks are being impacted day to day on the streets. But as we hear these stories, we cannot forget about what's happening in this building right now. The City Council of Los Angeles, led by a so-called progressive council, Mark Riley Thomas, Kevin De Leon, Mitchell Farrell, and all these other cats who think, that's right, let's say that boo to them one more time. Exactly, are in the process about to be discussing banishment. Not necessarily anything but banishment. They're talking about LA is going to be one segregated place where no one is going to be able to sit, rest, or lie, while rich hipsters and yuppies are able to do that every day as they dine al fresco. Do we think that's right? Do we think that it's right that they'll limit our public space in the name of so-called progress so that the rich people in LA don't have to see our struggling in our lives? That's exactly what's happening inside right now. They're proposing something called 41.18D. What 41.18D would be is basically taking away the ability for anyone to humanly rest. Humanly rest, a humanly function that exists. And on top of that, they're talking about if they can't limit your ability of where you can rest, they're gonna be able to legislate it, come back, have something called a resolution, and then keep you away from that space. So think about that. Not only are they creating a policy that takes you away from a majority of the city, anything that they forget, they want to be able to come back and capture it. Do we think that's right? No! Do we think Mark Riley Thomas is right for keeping us away from our neighborhoods? Is that right? No! Do we think Kevin De Leon is right for keeping us away from our neighborhoods? No! Do we think the mayor of Los Angeles should veto this if it passes today before he goes to India? Yeah! Right? He also has a responsibility. He thinks that he can pack up his bags and leave and not do anything. Well, we need to make sure that he knows as well, if anything passes these guys back here, he's next on the table. So first the city council, next the mayor. We're not gonna let 41.18D pass, right? And that's why we're here today.
thank you. Thank you, Steve. Steve is with the Los Angeles Community Action Network as well, and he hits on a very key points. We're going to go back again, and we're going to reintroduce ourselves with a UTAC member. Phoenix is one of the gentlemen that has been unhoused for some time, and he's going to share some of his experiences with us.
Testing, are we here? What's going on, Los Angeles? Oh, we can do better than that. What is going on? Let's get some life in this motherfucker today, man. You know, they named this event the perfect event, a press conference, because we about to press our foot in these politicians' asses today. The greatest way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any to begin with. A lot of us are told to accept the reality. Well, just shut up, accept what you're given, be grateful. And that's complete bullshit. Let's call this what it is. It's carceral fucking housing. It's criminalization. You're throwing people in jail and yet you're not coming up with any goddamn solutions. Oh, you're lazy, you're a bum, you don't want it. Motherfucker, what? Did we not just have a program in Echo Park where people were working, were cleaning up their trash? Did we not have a community that had a community kitchen that was trading and bartering and cleaning? Oh, but the media cameras didn't want to show that. All of a sudden, the technology is not working all of a sudden. You can't judge somebody's performance if you haven't even let them get on stage. Where's the solutions at? I hear a lot of these politicians running their fucking mouths off, so-called progressives. Motherfucker, where's the progression? Homelessness is skyrocketing. You got time to enforce lockdowns. You got time to give us a fucking vaccine and say, well, we care about your safety.
Yeah, right.
If that's the case, where the fuck's our healthcare at? Why aren't you giving motherfuckers medicine? How many people are dying on these streets because they can't afford insulin? What the fuck we talking about? Safety. How many, we got what, hundreds of thousands of people on the streets? Yeah, that's safe. But they got time to give us that jab, don't they? They throwing out more jabs than Mike fucking Tyson, ain't they? But all of a sudden they care about our safety, right? Okay. What it comes down to really, it is about actions versus fucking talking. These guys get on the media and they run their fucking mouths off and there's no solution. We got solutions right in front of us, and for those that want to say we're lazy, for those that want to say we don't want it, for those that want to say we're not doing anything, we wouldn't be here today. We got the solutions right in front of us. How about, I don't know, you open up all these vacant schools, you open up all these vacant houses, these malls. How many abandoned parks we got just sitting there? The 7th richest economy in the world, we got the #1 homelessness rate. Let me repeat that one more time. 7th richest economy in the world, #1 homelessness rate. You really have to try to be that fucking mediocre. You really have to try to fucking fail that bad. Opening up a vacant school, vacant houses will cost you about half to maybe 1/4 of what you're doing now. You have money to rent out the LA Grand. You have money to rent out these hotels. You have money to pay privatized security. You have money to fucking pay these cops.
We ain't getting housed.
Oh, we get housed, but it's carceral housing.
Yeah.
They up here searching your shit like your goddamn Bane that just came out of Arkham Asylum.
Right.
We need to check this, check that. But it's for your safety. LASA's came out and admitted that they do not have a permanent path to fucking housing. What this really encompasses, this is more than just the homeless versus the rich, or the haves versus the have-nots. This is a battle, let's call it what it is, the people versus the fucking establishment. The establishment is not doing what the fuck they supposed to do.
Yep.
They have the money, they have the resources, but they want to point the finger and tell you, well, what you need to do is. When it all's said and done, the action's gonna have to come from us, the fucking people. So if Garcetti, if Mitch O'Farrell, if that clown we got in office right now, if AOC, if these motherfuckers don't want to step up, give us the funding and get the fuck out the way. Let us handle this shit. We already was doing the community shit in Echo. There's a lot of communities that are trading and bartering, and we, like I said, we broke as a joke. So imagine we get y'all guys' funding. We would tear your asses up, and they know it. They know it. You know, they try to say you're dirty, you're filthy, you're making a scene. Okay, here's an idea: hand them a vest and have the homeless clean up their area. Give them a little bit of cash at the end of the day. Now shit stays clean. They have an incentive to work, and like I said, they can have a little bit of money in their pocket. But oh, I'm sorry, this is Los Angeles. That would require sense. That would require humanity. We don't give a fuck about that. We got to make that fiat currency. Making sense, please. I'm gonna leave off with this. This shit is gonna hit all of us. Understand everything that they do to the homeless, to the unhoused. We are just the guinea pigs that's gonna trickle its way up. Let's take it back to last summer when they were searching through people's tents illegally, without warrants. Don't we got cops walking around now searching people's houses without warrants? Okay. Don't we have an eviction moratorium coming up in September? Oh, what's gonna be the narrative now? Oh, those people are lazy, those people are bums. You know how many people I know that are working 40 hours a week and they still have to go sleep in a truck? But they're lazy, right? Right, okay. This is why I say, at the end of the day, we gotta drop the bullshit labels, because labels are good for products, not people. They want you focused on black versus white. They want you focused on Republican versus Democrat, and all that don't mean shit. It's all made up shit to divide and conquer, because the more time we spend arguing amongst that, that's less time we take in action. At the end of the day, it's gonna be about the people versus the establishment. It's gonna be about us getting land, building our own housing, learning how to grow food, learning how to do for ourselves. So that way, we can no longer be a hamster to their will. That's what it comes down to. What's so ironic, these dumb motherfuckers that are in charge, and what they don't realize, if you piss off all your hamsters, who the hell is gonna run on your wheel? Nah, see, that arrogance, oh, we've been doing shit for you. We've been getting away with shit for years. We're gonna do whatever the fuck we want. Surprise. Who's gonna run your Targets and your Walmarts if they can't even fucking afford to live in the city? Who's gonna run your wheels then? What if, it's just a crazy idea, what if a bunch of people get together and do a strike? They decide, you know what, we're not gonna come to work, we're not gonna come to school today. What you motherfuckers gonna do then? Arrogance is a motherfucker. It'll blind your intelligence, it'll blind your critical thinking. And this is what we have with people like Garcetti and Mitch O'Farrell, and a politician's gonna be a politician. I'll leave off with this. What we're living now in modern day America is basically similar to, I don't know if you guys remember the movie A Bug's Life, Disney and Pixar. I know people are giggling, what is this nigga talking about? Stay with me, stay with me. We are the ants and the establishment is the grasshoppers. We're doing all the fucking work, but yet they're getting all the rewards. That's all this shit is when it's all said and done. At the end of the day, now if you pay attention to that movie, it showed the same scene at the beginning of the movie and at the end of the movie. It was the ants gathering food. But the difference is it showed two realities. In the first scene, it showed them working for the ants. But by the end of that movie, all that work was what? They were working for themselves. And that's what all this shit comes down to. It's gonna come down to a tale of two realities. We either keep being a hamster on the wheel or we be a bird in flight. We start working for ourselves and we say enough of this bullshit. So to Eric Garcetti, Mitch O'Farrell, all you motherfuckers, put up or shut up. We're done with the liberal bullshit. We're tired of the political correctness. Put up or shut up. You say you care about our fucking safety, show it. And that's what it's gonna come down to. And if you can't do it, give us the funds and we'll happily do it. I'm Phoenix for UTAC. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Phoenix. You know, he says some very good key points about self-determination, which is what unhoused people have always done. I want that to be very clear, because most people that are housed, it would not be able to juggle the realities out here, living out here, because you have housed sensibilities. You can't live like you live in a house when you're out in unhoused. You are dealing with a whole set of problems and issues. The weather is, for one, a heat wave. How long can you last out here 24 hours over a heat wave for 2 or 3 weeks? How long can you last and then have the nerve to someone walk up to you and tell you got to have your tent down? How long can you last when it's raining out here and you're trying to put the Molson's tarps on here and you got some NIMBY calling the police and they having to tell you to move your tent? Many of the people that are running around making these ridiculous claims and calling into city council, making these horrible public comments would not last a week, hell, even a day. What I also want to point out too, the reality is, because people are saying that we need to give jobs, and that is a very valid concern, a very valid point. But unhoused people do jobs. Have you seen unhoused people run down and get recycling and do recycling? You know how intensive that is in the heat? You know how long it is to take the walk? There are unhoused people that I know now that are working in a job for 40 hours and are living on the streets in a tent. So it is not about, not always completely about jobs. There are other unhoused people that cannot work. The point of it is, jobs should not be the measuring stick for you to give them a house or not. That's not it. If someone's on substance usage, that should not be the measuring stick why you should not give them a house. If someone has mental health challenges, you're not telling Britney Spears to get the hell out of her house and live out in a tent. That should not be the measuring rod why they should not get a home. Speaking of homes, there was a group of people that was very committed. And I watched them and I interviewed them in their beginning stages of the pandemic. They were reclaimers. What they were reclaiming was reclaiming their dignity and their homes. I interviewed a host of wonderful people, Ruby Gordillo, Marta Escondido, as well as the next guest is Benito Flores. Mr. Flores, you're next.
Hi, my name is Benito Flores. I am from reclaiming our homes. Yes, we went and we expropriate the empty houses of Caltrans. Caltrans used to have empty houses, like 400 empty for 60 years. Then, reclaiming our homes, we went and we expropriate the houses, the empty houses. And when we do, we touch the words of their nightmares, pesadillas. Their nightmare is one day all the homeless go and occupy the empty houses. There is 3 empty houses for every homeless. So the nightmare is one day all the homeless go and occupy the empty houses. That is the homeless apocalypse. That is why they are preparing the concentration camps. When the homeless apocalypse comes, they are going to move and put all of us into the concentration camps. But I have news for the city council. The city council created the homeless. I am a reclaimer, and I am lawfully homeless. I am lawfully homeless because me and every homeless was created by law. The city council made a law, the rent is up. Well, that's right. And the minimum wage is low. They made the laws. They made the homeless. That is why I am lawfully homeless. We are lawfully homeless. Then, now I have news for the city council. Forgot about the homeless apocalypse. Now, every homeless are gonna run to occupy the seat of the city council. We are going to remove them. We are going to replace them. Every homeless is gonna run for city council. If you say I am homeless and I am running for city council, the people is going to vote for you. Because the people is fed up with this corrupt politician. They work for the real estate industry. And they don't dissimulate. They don't pretend that they are not. They do every law in favor of the real estate industry. That is why they are criminalizing the homeless, because they want to clean the street, because the property go up, the property value go up. That is why they are worried about business. Thank you.
During last year was a tumultuous year. We had the George Floyd debacle, the injustice and travesty. But I also wanted to take a moment to say that George Floyd was not the first person that had suffered under that kind of brutality. Yes, absolutely, right on. The second thing I wanted to point out to you, the first killing that happened with the knee on the neck was an unhoused person. And I asked this question to many people outside, even in activists and out of activists. They don't know that it was an unhoused black mental health, was suffering from a mental health crisis, and the police went and put his foot on his neck. His name was Muhammad Abdul Mujahid. Look him up. George Floyd opened up what many people of color knew all along, that the police officers are not our friends. The police officers are usually the ones that precipitate a problem or escalate it. Which brings up to what the true definition of insanity is. Why are we keep putting up $3.1 billion or allowing and voting for people that will continue to idolize police officers that are not offering solutions? Another point I wanted to point out to you is the lies that Mitchell Farrell has spoken about Echo Park. I was down there physically on the ground and I saw what went on. Many of the people there that were protesting were singing and basically very peaceful. There were police officers that were aggressive, but they always get coddled. They flash lights into people's eyes. But the minute anyone else has the temerity to stand up to them, then they use that as a reason, as again, confirmation bias, to utilize the violence that they descended upon peaceful protesters. One protester wasn't even a protester. She lived in the neighborhood. Not make a living either, because everyone always says people don't want to work, right? But they were working. They were part of the community. They were valued. And many of them wanted that fence down from that park because there was a community. I've interviewed them many, many times. I know many of them, they were very, very self-sustaining. They were creating their own sense of conflict resolution, being able to troubleshoot when there are issues. But you know, the strange thing that we don't talk about was that some of the neighbors in Echo Park were with the people up there in Echo Park too. That story gets lost. They only focused on the rich that was right across the street, or the religious fanatics that was in the church that was refusing and was upset that people were being serviced and helped there. One of the residents, Gustavo, is going to come up here and talk about his experiences. Without further ado, I would like to hear from Gustavo. Yes, I did.
We are the people. We are the community. We are justice. We are street watchers. And we will never rest until we get rid of those people that are running the city hall. Please help us to give us the fund to help the homeless. We will get the job done in less that people might think. Some people are not gonna be happy of what they're gonna do. Why? Because they have been doing this for many, many, many years, and they never get the job done. Please help us to give us the funds so we can help our brothers and sisters that are out there that have nowhere to go. It's not that they want to be on the street, just that they have no choice but to be there. I was a resident here at Echo Park. I was a resident here at Echo Park. When the time came to sweep us up, of course, it really hurt all of us. But guess what? It didn't hurt me that much. It did hurt me more seeing the fucking police arrest those people that were protesting so peacefully. That's what they do. They terrorize. They fucking think that they have all the right to do that shit. Not at all. We have to punish all of them. I'm pretty sure a lot of police, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of police, sheriffs, this and that. I just want to ask to all of them just one question. If there's only one good cop or sheriff, come and join us. Is there any? I don't think so. The community of Echo Park, well, not only the community, but most of the people live there. Not only the people that live there, but the surroundings, like everyone. They don't want the fence up. I went there, put some flyers that we didn't want the fence up. I did put quite a few, and guess what? The fucking rangers went there and jumped me. They did harm me. And it has been quite a few weeks already. They sent me a message. They did. But I'm gonna send them a fucking message that they will never forget. Right now, I'm in a key room. This is what I don't understand. How come they call key room when we don't even have a key? Well, that's how they are. They just keep lying to people.
Spending our money.
I just have one promise and one guarantee that I have to sell to those cons of people. We will never rest. We will fight every single fucking day to get rid of all of you motherfuckers.
I can't say anything after that, so I won't even try. But the next person I wanted to introduce is the gentleman that I met over when they went out to near the Ingle and Hawthorne area, I believe, to interview some of the unhoused out there. And what I noticed about most places that I go to here in Los Angeles, they all have the same thing. They are basically battling the forces of the city, the NIMBYs, the weather, and just basically trying to put their foot in front of the other for another day. But here's a gentleman here that's going to talk about his experiences working with his unhoused neighbors out there, Mr. Eddie Cruz.
Hello everybody, good morning. My name is Eddie Cruz. I partook in a campaign that was located in Inglewood, California called Here to Stay. The whole foundation and the whole concept of Here to Stay was that we helped a family reclaim their home after they were morally and wrongfully evicted during November, during the peak of COVID, by the sheriffs and by a piece of shit mortgage company. And we put them back in their home. We got them back, they're in there right now, and they're safely living in their home. But what we do know, those who are in tenant advocacy and also working with reclaiming homes or with homeowners, we know that working class homeowners, working class tenants are closer to being unhoused than being rich. We know that one missed mortgage payment, one missed rental payment, or it doesn't even have to be that. It could be that your piece of shit landlord doesn't like you and wants to kick you out of your home or apartment so they could boost up the rent, and now you're unhoused simply because of a greedy landlord wants to make profits. And that's it. That's all it takes for someone who has a home to become unhoused. 41.18 is an effort from the Los Angeles City Council to further criminalize unhoused people and to further regulate and privatize public land. But privatize it for who? And what is the point to privatize public land? Is to gain profits. Profits for who? We got to see what's coming to the city of LA. We got the Olympics. We got out-of-state realtors who are coming into our city. Boo, yeah, fuck the Olympics, boo. But we also got out-of-state realtors who are speculating property here in Los Angeles to build rental units, not for working class people in LA, for the rich out-of-staters who are coming into our cities and gentrifying our neighborhoods. And when they gentrify our neighborhoods, they kick out working class people and they become unhoused. Nudie Martinez a couple weeks ago said one of the most ignorant and obnoxious comments I have heard come out from a city council member in a while. She said something along the lines that said, what about our undocumented immigrant community who works so hard and they want to go to the park and they want to enjoy the park? Well, let me tell you something, Nudie. Most undocumented people are also unhoused. I met an unhoused community member in Echo Park. I met an unhoused community member in Echo Park to a couple that said that they had to leave their apartment unit because it became too much for them to pay off, and they were working. What about them, Nudie? What about those? But this is what, but that's what they do, though. That's what they do. They make these comments. They can further divide people to weaponize them and to go against each other. But we know that we are all in this together. Undocumented immigrants, different ethnic groups here, we're all part of the working class, and we all know that we are more in danger of being unhoused than being rich. And we are here to fight together and fight with our unhoused neighbors. And I think it's important to emphasize that we want to create a whole new world. We want to create a whole new world where humanity is reinstalled into one of us, because we know that capitalism and the socioeconomic system has removed our humanity from ourselves, and it is important to put it back into each other and to bring compassion to each other, to bring love to each other, because that's the only way. That's the only way we're going to help each other, is by loving each other. By loving each other. And those of us who are working with unhoused advocacy, who are doing tenant advocacy, I know that this resolution 41.18 being passed, unfortunately, we have a speculation that it will pass. That shouldn't stop us from continue fighting, from continue supporting each other. Because one thing the city cannot regulate is love for each other. They cannot regulate compassion for each other. They cannot regulate that. And they will never pass anything that will make them stop us from having compassion for each other.
That's another one that keeps me speechless. I ain't got nothing. One of the things I want to talk too about this is the divisive language that they are using. They're always talking about families, but you're forgetting undocumented families, unhoused that are documented, are families that are out here on the street, and they should be able to enjoy the park just the same as housed people. But the dog whistle that they use is only housed families are important. Catch what they always are talking about. Whenever you hear these NIMBYs, Nuri's little NIMBY crew, they're talking about how, for example, unhoused people could just be minding their business, and people would want to just feel like that they are going to attack them at any moment. I've witnessed this. I've had this happen to me, sitting in minding my business, totally oblivious to what's going on, having police called on me just because I'm sitting in a park and told I can't be here. Why can't I be here? I'm not wanted. I'm not a criminal. I have everyone right as just as everyone else. But the point of it is to create this image in housed people's eyes that unhoused people are about to attack elderly, anybody actually to hurt and harm them. They're creating this divide so house people can continue to create this concentration camp idea that they keep wanting to float, but they'll keep bringing it out. And our next guest who's going to talk is Miss Alexis Acevedos. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, Acevedos from LI2U, and she's going to talk to her about her struggles and what she does in her activism.
So LITU stands for Lenox Inglewood Tenants Union. So that's our battleground. Lenox Inglewood area, Lenox Inglewood people. Something I want to talk about is why I'm here today, why I'm in the struggle, and I didn't know that's why I was in the struggle. Please, nobody get sad, nobody feel bad, or say poor Alexis. Please feel Alexis is in a lot of joy and she's very happy. So my brother passed on May 11th earlier this year. My brother was struggling with an addiction with fentanyl. Before my brother passed, months before, my uncle had called me from Boston and told me that I had to be there for my brother, and I told him I'm a coward, I can't do it anymore. It was too hard. It had gotten too hard. I was taking him to methadone clinics. Him and my cousin to methadone clinics because they were both on fentanyl. I got in a car accident on December 27th. A car hit me and I could no longer take him to methadone clinics. And then I got a back injury, and then I was on the bus with these high top Dr. Martens that just messed up my back even more. And it was tough, right? Knowing that my brother was struggling with that addiction and I couldn't take him to the clinics. That uncle who had called me, who told me not to be a coward and to be there for my brother who was struggling with his addiction, he used to be homeless as well. His brother came from Mexico with him, my mom as well. His brother at one time wanted to be a lawyer in Mexico. We come from Puerto Vallarta. He was the president of the debate club, you know, the whole thing. When he got to the United States and his father told him, I cannot pay for you to go to law school, his whole dreams were shattered. He ended up homeless, addicted to drugs, and living under a freeway. So my uncle told me, I've been there before. Your uncle knows what he's talking about. Your brother is lost. So it prompted me to try to help my brother as much as I could. My brother was living under a freeway in a car with my big brother. And then he'd get high and do fentanyl. And on one occasion, when he was in rehab later before he passed, my big brother told him, like, yeah, man, when we were under the freeway, you used to get high and then you'd be like, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna stab you. And it was really freaking scary. But I want to shed light to my big brother's role in my brother's last months before he went to rehab in TJ. When my brother got out of rehab, 4 days later, he relapsed and he passed away. He overdosed in a bathroom in Southgate. And I want to share this with y'all because in the time post my brother's passing, we were talking about all types of stuff, right? And a memory I remember is that when my mom came here, at a time she had my oldest sister, my brother, and they were on Skid Row, homeless. And there's a nonprofit that has the name Missions, and they helped my family. And so when we were out here looking for the suit to bury my brother with, I Googled, like, Mom, what was the name of that organization that helped you guys? And they're still out here doing the work. And so I had a big, like, aha moment, like, this is why I'm this way. This is why I do this work, because without really being very conscious of it, this is where I come from, you know? And I'm really blessed in many ways, but the world can really distract you from all of this because you cope, right? And you distract yourself with different things because just back to back, just like suffering and poverty, sometimes you want to distract yourself and go and, like I did, get lost and mess around with a guy that I shouldn't mess around with for months because it was too hard for me to face my family and my brother and what was happening. Drugs, weed, y'all know, we cope. But I wanted to share that because practicing that love, right, that self-sacrificial love, people used to tell me, get a job, focus on yourself, stop wasting your time like with your brother. And I couldn't, I'm like, it's like they weren't even speaking. How could I ever, if I'm on this earth, it was to help him in his situation. That gave me purpose. That gave me purpose, not degree, job, whatever, getting my own apartment. I knew I was just still gonna be at home, suffering, worrying about my brother, knowing he was under a freeway. So I also want to speak to the struggle of when folks get out of rehab, how difficult it is for them to come back into society, right? And reintegrate into society. Just how it is hard when folks get out of jail. They need us so bad. They're very vulnerable. It's almost like a childlike state, an infantile state almost. And they need us. And I understand that work and everything distracts us and makes it difficult for us to be there for each other, but that is what we need to fight for. That is what we need to fight for.
Thank you for that that educational story, because she did ask us not to feel sad about it. So it is empowering and it's a teachable moment. So I think this is one of the things that educates us about everyone is interlinked, no matter how we try to divide each other, from the people that are suffering from substances or have mental challenges or being released from jails. We all rely on each other in order for us to get well. There's no other way around it. The only unfortunate thing about it is there are people behind us, that's people, the small minority that believes that property and things are the most important than human dignity and humanity. So before I go into it, I want to introduce another person that is part of the Reclaimer movement. I interviewed her in the earlier part of the pandemic. Marta Escovita was explaining her story, as well as the other unhoused has explained their stories as well. And she has a family, which is what brings the point of it. If she had been still on the street, and when 41.18 would be passed, she would not be able to enjoy the same privileges and rights as housed people with families. Without further ado, Martha, please come.
Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't stop. Say what? Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't stop. Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't stop. Thank you all. I just want to remind folks that I didn't do Reclaiming Our Homes alone. It took people power. Why? Because the politicians won't do shit for us. Because they won't work fast enough for us. Because they don't care about us. They care about profit and not people. We care about people. We care about each other. And that's why we have to fight and do what it takes for us to keep safe. And sometimes you have to break the law. I explained that to my daughters, that if there's unjust laws, what's morally right is to break them, to have visibility of what it means, you know, to have safety. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. COVID is not killing us, it's the politicians that are killing us. It's capitalism and racism that are killing us. And also to point out that housing is a feminist issue, because a lot of the times women and families are in abusive situations because they can't get out of a very traumatizing home and an abusive home. So we need to really work harder, because I've seen a lot of families not on the streets. I myself was couch surfing, but there's people on the streets. There's families and children on the streets, and cars and shelters. And that's not a way to live. We don't need these temporary bullshit solutions that politicians are giving us. We need permanent housing for everybody because we're human beings and we deserve it. Housing is a human right. And really create a society that sustains life itself and not just profit. We need to create a society that cares about every living being. And to acknowledge that this land is Tongva land and the Tongva people are still here. And we need to ask them as well, like what they want on this land in these houses, not just the politicians. I don't see representation of the Tongva people in the council. That's something that needs to be addressed as well. And I'm here as well because I want to break that stereotype that unhoused people are uneducated or are lazy or it's just single people with substance use problems. No, there's families out there. And a lot of times there's substance use because of the trauma and because they need to cope with being on the street. So I am in no way judging anybody. But I just want to let everyone know that not everybody is using and on the streets. And there's families out there. And there's a need to keep us housed. And it's bullshit that they can't get things done fast enough because by our direct action, we were able to keep those homes temporarily, but we were able to keep those homes. So they can work fast enough, they just don't want to. And we have so many housing, the abandoned houses owned by Caltrans still in that area, owned by Caltrans all over California. There's also here in LA, owned by LA County, LA City, LAUSD, and nothing is being done. They give the room and key and just bullshit temporary stuff when in reality they could give us permanent housing and they could work fast enough. They did already. We proved it wrong. We proved them wrong. So please, I'm in solidarity with all these housing issues because housing is healthcare, housing is a feminist issue, housing is a human right. Thank you all. Fight, fight, fight! Housing is a human right! Fight, fight, fight! Housing is a human right! Fight, fight, fight! Housing is a human right!
Thank you all for that excellent conversation that Martha is educating us on. I see us a little flagging. Some of us are leaving. I want to introduce Mr. Leonardo from LATU, Los Angeles Tenants Union. Oh, there he is.
Good morning. My name is Leonardo Vilchis from the Los Angeles Tenants Union. And we're here in solidarity because a stupid racist law is being passed right now. 41.18 is a law that is trying to dismantle community. 41.18 is a racist law that attacks the largest majority of black African American homeless people who live in the city. 41.18 is endorsed by people of color. Brown, black, Latino, different male and female are supporting this law. This law is trying to push the poor out of this community, out of our city, out of our neighborhoods. And what are we going to do? That is the question. The city council is going to pass this law. Kevin De Leon, Nuri Martinez, Gil Cedillo, Marquise Harris Dawson, Mark Ridley Thomas, all of them are going to vote in favor of this law. Yes, boo, but what are we going to do? That is the question for all of us. In the Tenants Union, when we heard about the evictions, when we heard about the illegal evictions, we created a rapid response team. What? To stop the evictions. What are we going to do when they come to our camp? What are we going to do when they bring the police and surround the homeless people living in those tents? We have to come together as a city and fight back and push back. The vote is not going to change that. If we don't organize in our camps, if we don't come together, they're going to be pushed out of here. The city is going to be a city where the poor cannot live. We have to stop that. Massive evictions are coming in the next few weeks. People are going to be pushed. People are going to be in court fighting not to stay in their homes. And then they're going to lose because there is not enough lawyers to defend them. Wow. They're going to move to the streets, and then they're going to be pushed out of the streets. Are we going to let that happen? No. Every person here has to join the fight. We have to station ourselves in front of our council members, around the camps, and everywhere that this fight is happening. So as Los Angeles Tenants Union, we commit ourselves to this fight, but we need to understand today, people of color that are in power that we voted for are voting for a racist law that hates the poor. And today we need to understand that if we just wait for them to make decisions for us, they're gonna keep doing the same thing. The only way we can stop it is by showing them that we're ready to fight to the end. Now I'm gonna say this in Spanish. Lo que estoy diciendo es que básicamente estamos en una crisis de desalojo de vivienda en la cual más y más gente está empujando a las calles. Y la única manera que hemos logrado defendernos es organizándonos para luchar contra cada desalojo ilegal. Y lo mismo tenemos que hacer en cada campamento. Hoy, gente de color, los concejales que supuestamente están de nuestro lado, están votando a favor de esta ley. Y la pregunta es, ¿cómo vamos a luchar para eso? ¿Cómo nos vamos a organizar para que nadie sea sacado de su banqueta y de su vecindario? I know most of us are speaking in English. So, but my point is then, if we don't organize ourselves, if we don't fight with the community is going to be trampled over. We need to be very serious about it. It's been demonstrated to us that when we push back, they back off. But when we're silent, waiting for them to do things for us, nothing happens. So I'm calling on all of us, and the organizations that are not here today, and the churches that are not here today, and the immigrant rights organizations that are not here today, and the neighborhood groups that are not here today, and the so-called community organizers that are receiving funds from foundations that are not here today, to join this fight. Okay? Thank you very much.
Moving right along, we have Hillside Villa, who is also part of the fight of the illegal evictions and the eminent domain. Renee Alexander will tell us a little bit about that struggle.
Wow, what a day. So, I spent last night trying to figure out what I was going to write, and I wrote it down. When they invited me to come and speak, I really didn't know. I mean, I knew about 41.18, but I really didn't know. And so when they said, hey, you're going to go down there and you're going to speak, I was invited to a Zoom meeting. And I listened to these people speak, and I listened to them read line by line by line by line. Excuse me, I'm getting a little emotional. Because what I read was, it just put so much fucking angry in me. It made me just so angry. I mean, literally, I couldn't make it through the whole meeting. I had to get off that meeting. I'll tell you why. I know that these son of a bitches back here, I know that they don't know what it's like to be homeless. Yeah. I do. First time I was homeless is when I was 12 years old. I was a 12-year-old boy living on the streets in Hollywood on my own. And then, as an adult, again, I was living in a car wash in Santa Monica La Brea. That was not a virgin good thing for me. I had a needle in my arm, I admit it. But when I cleaned up, and I remembered what it was like to be on the streets, the stigma that people gave me when they looked at me, how they crossed the street to avoid me, not having anywhere to shower, nothing to eat, all these things. Listening to people say, get a job, man. But you know what, when I went to get a job as a homeless person, I didn't have the clothes, I didn't look people. So when they're starting to come down with all of these things, these atrocities, they're criminalizing. They've said it over and over. Every single one of you here is a future criminal. Now I'd like to talk about my building. I live at Hillside Villa. I represent the Hillside Villa Tenants Association. We are in a fight. We've been in a fight for 3 years. I've seen my fellow residents have heart attacks over this fight, but they don't give up. I've seen my residents have just panic attacks. I included myself. Now the covenant on our building expired, and we said, fuck you, Tom Bots, you're not taking our homes. We're gonna fight you tooth and nail no matter what. So every one of my fellow tenants has, if we don't have any rental rate, has the opportunity to then become a homeless person. Yay for them, right? Fuck that shit. And let's think about this. This is one covenant that has expired. What about the other covenants that are going to expire soon? And those are thousands of people who can possibly become homeless. And are they going to be criminals too? According to this, they are. Now I'm going to jump to one other thing here, because I've heard it going on and on a lot about this. Echo Park. Now I'm really going to get emotional, and I'll tell you why. See, I'm a 59-year-old man, and I grew up in Echo Park. That was my playground. That's where we celebrated our Easters, our birthdays, our 4th of Julys. This is our park. It's a park of the people, not Mitch O'Farrell. So here we go. I'm almost finished up here, but let me turn around and tell you something. As one gay man, I'm gonna turn around and say, look at Miss Thing, your shit is done. Okay? Because girl, we don't play that game. There is no way we're gonna play that game. And I want to say one more thing to all these human councils before I go. Let's remember something, City Council. The city does not employ you, the people employ you. We hired you, we can fire you. We know where you live, we know where you work, we're coming.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. He hits it on the head. They just wakened a sleeping giant. This is a war that they have really calculated. They think because they have LAPD that they're going to be safe, or LA Sheriff's Department, but that's not really what it is. We're not saying we're going out there to beat up people, but we're definitely going to make sure our presence is known in every way possible to understand that you are not going to have an easy time. And when election is, I also want to point out unhoused people vote too. So one of the things that I was telling some of the unhoused that were afraid and have been terrorized by the unhoused people, by the police, I always say, you may not want to get involved, but the same people that you think they are not thinking about you, they're calling those city council members and passing these kind of things. They're voting for these kind of things, they're voting for the people. So you need to get out of the fear. It's okay to be afraid, but we have to move beyond the fear to be able to move together and get together, because we need all of us. And speaking of unifying, I want to introduce a group that has reached out. I've known two of the people, or the members, a while before the group was formed. Mario as well as Zen were two people that had taken an interest in helping me navigate the hostile business improvement districts and the hostility of the LAPD and NIMBYs in Chinatown. And as that evolved, as time went on, they reached out to me when I was doing Weedy and House, and they asked me how could they be part of the struggle. And they created, right now every Saturday in Little Tokyo, we have a power up from 3 to 6. And it's called the Japanese Action Solidarity. And I am very pleased because this is very different, because it's unhoused centered, because it has the understanding of unhoused realities instead of the housed viewpoint of what unhoused people need. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Stephen Chung.
Hey everybody, my name is Stephen Chun. I'm an activist and organizer with J-Town Action and Solidarity, as well as K-Town for All. So I'm just up here today to briefly talk to you guys about one of the city's latest attacks on our unhoused neighbors throughout the city, and some action items that we are definitely going to need you guys' help with. So just to begin with some background and context, so at the beginning of this month, unhoused residents throughout the city found that their public restrooms and hygiene stations had been taken overnight. These were taken away without any notice. They were given zero warning, and they were also left with zero alternative for washing their hands or just basic hygiene. So after some digging from activists, and thanks to especially Lexus Olivier Ray from LA Taco, we were able, shout out to Lexus. We found that the mayor's office had actually terminated their contract for these hygiene stations and restrooms 3 months early. 3 months. For what? Not for a lack of need, right? And so it's also important to keep in mind that this occurred at a time when COVID is surging once again in Los Angeles, and we are hitting over 2,000 cases every single day. And they chose to rob our unhoused neighbors of their hygiene stations and restrooms. It does not make any sense. And so now, just yesterday at a press conference, Mayor Garcetti, when asked again by Lexus about those restrooms and hygiene stations, he stated, and he claimed, that the city is dedicated to being more impactful with the way that they're implementing these stations. Bullshit. He's also claimed that they've only pulled the stations that weren't being used. Bullshit. And lastly, he also claimed that they are doubling down on their investment into these hygiene stations, when we know the reality is that he has pulled these restrooms and hygiene stations from some of the most used stations throughout the entire city. For example, like Theo said, our power-ups in Little Tokyo, just a block over on Judge and First. That encampment is home to close to 20 residents, and they use it on a regular basis every single day. And just on July 4th, Mayor Garcetti chose to rob them of those facilities.
Ridiculous!
So we know that these things are straight out lies from Eric Garcetti. And even worse, that is not even the worst part of it. Even worse, yesterday at that same press conference, LA City Council President Nuri Martinez made even more absurd claims that we, quote, cannot normalize people living in encampments. Made the claims that we, quote, cannot normalize people living in these encampments, referring to the use of hand washing stations and restrooms.
Megaphone!
Hello, can you hear me? So like I said, Nuri Martinez claimed that we cannot normalize living in encampments, referring to just the bare necessities of restrooms and hygiene stations. It's bullshit! So that brings us to today. So first, we are here primarily, the first thing I want to say is that we are rejecting Nuri's divisive, harmful narratives that are consistently trying to pit the housed working class against our unhoused neighbors. This is a bullshit distinction and we know it. Second, we are also rejecting the bullshit notion that providing people with the most basic human dignity, health, and safety is somehow enabling them. And to Nuri Martinez,
switch up again. And to Nuri Martinez, we say, people are not on the streets because they have a fucking porta potty. They're on the streets because of the failure of these city officials to provide the bare necessities, the basics of affordable housing and other services. And just a couple more things. So now for our concrete demands. So first, we are here to demand that Eric Garcetti finally put his money where his big ass mouth is and immediately restore and extend the contracts to those removed restrooms and hygiene stations. Next, we are here to demand that city council members take action too, because we know we have to hold them accountable as well. We know that they too have the power and resources and funds to do the very same thing and immediately restore those necessities to our unhoused neighbors throughout the entire city. And of course, because we know how ineffective and incompetent these people are,
we know that we will have to be the ones to pressure them into doing the right thing. And so my last thing I want to say is just everyone please help us continue this pressure, continue calling into their offices, make these demands to them, and continue showing up for things like public comment so that we can make sure that they do the right thing. Every person has the right to proper sanitation and basic health and dignity, and we will not stand by and watch as the city launches attack after attack on our unhoused neighbors. Thank you for listening, and all power to the people.
I know we've been going for a minute, but we have a quick request, right quick. This is going to be very quick before we go into the next person.
I just want to say real quick, going back to what I was saying, you know, at the end of the day, this fight affects all of us, and it's going to come down to us getting our land, getting our resources, and I just want to make people aware that they're going to villainize us no matter what we do. If we start getting land and start doing this shit for us, expect slander, expect them to say, oh, COVID or all these conditions are dirty. Remember, they did the same shit to the Native Americans when they were living off the land. Oh, you're savages. Oh, you're dirty. Oh, you're this, that, and the third. So I just want to say that real quick that, you know, at the end of the day, it's going to come to us taking fucking actions. Fuck these politicians. They don't give a fuck about you. They tell you what you want to hear while not actually doing a goddamn thing. So it's going to come to us, for the people, by the people. Thank you.
And on that note too, I want to point out too, because there was a conversation earlier about some places that are offering an alternative. But the reality is, it's wonderful to have a piece of an alternative, but this should not have to be just one place that's offering these services. It should be every service that we pay taxes in, and yes, unhoused people pay taxes in, should be treated this way. There should not be some special place where unhoused people can go. It should be where it should be a part of the conversation, where LASA or Project Room Key should be putting people into Project Home Key, instead of only a certain place where they can go and maybe get some kind of semblance of treatment, of equitable treatment. There are over 70-something unhoused people. There's only in one section of people, and one section of a program can't house everybody. So it takes all of us. It doesn't take just one. It takes all of us. The next speaker I have that I wanted to introduce is Vision, and then I have one added speaker before we close this out. We also have a direct action that we want to do, and stick around, we will give you further details after that. Without further ado, Vision.
How everybody doing today? My name is Vision with City Hall Sessions. Fuck Garcetti. You can find us CHS Los Angeles, CHS Los Angeles. But what I want to speak about today is about a population that oftentimes we forget. In recent times, we think about Echo Park and the injustice beyond measure what occurred there. But before then, it was a community, and I get emotional because what we are seeing with the unhoused population all through the United States of America is saddening. But what we saw here at Grand Park with a community that we know of as Black Unity, the same thing that was done to Echo Park was done with our sisters and brothers of Black Unity. Our brothers spoke earlier in the Tenants Union about we have to strategize different. We have to do things different. Many of us here today are law-abiding citizens, pay taxes, but at some point in time, our beloved brother and leader, Martin Luther King, decided we have to go against the norm. And the norm may just be mass arrest. Going against the norm just may be taking over the freeway like my beloved sister and mentor Melina Abdullah have done over and over and over and over again. We have to strategize different. We have to do things differently. Why? Because the corrupt people in here is not following what the masses of the people want. We're not the minority. The unhoused population is not the minority. The people feel like us is not the minority. That's the thinking of slave masters. That's the thinking of oppressors. When we break each other in classes, when we break each other in certain thoughts, that's what the oppressor do. We are no different than unhoused. Why? Because many of us, believe it or not, we're one paycheck of being unhoused. We're one paycheck of being unhoused. So we have to strategize differently. We have to organize differently. Not saying that we failed, but it just didn't work. It just didn't work. And we have to do something different. And mass arrest, letting the oppressor know enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. What we saw at Echo Park and what we've seen here with Black Unity is a way of living, is a way of life that many of us don't know. And before I go any further, I must give homage and respect to our native brothers and sisters because this is their land. They lived off the land. We don't know how to live off the land. Echo Park, Black Unity showed us how to live off the land. These new regulations that they're creating, they're planning on voting for today. Hopefully we can stop that. Criminalizing the unhoused population when in fact the county jail, the prison system from 2006 with the 6-judge panel ruled that the overpopulation of the prison system is a problem. So they begin to kick out thousands of people out of the prison system. As we speak today, they're kicking out hundreds of people out of the county jails because of the crowdedness of the population of the system. To criminalize where the unhoused population would do, that will only make the population of prison, of county jails even higher. So then you will have the same problem that the 6-judge panel so-called fixed. These are some of the things, as well as some of the other things that you brothers and sisters spoke to today. The people in power, the 1%, the rich, the Garcettis, and the rest of them need to hear and understand. The system is broke. The system is broke. And we have to do something. They have to do something differently. And each and every one of us, Michael Jackson said it best. Some of us laughed at him. But he said, look at the man or look at the woman in the mirror. Look at the man and woman in the mirror and ask yourself, are we going to continue this injustice happening? Is we going to stop it? And each and every one of us today, believe me, we can stop it. If we stand up, as our brother said, without fear. Fear is just the unknown. That's all fear is. Until Buster Douglas got in the ring with Mike Tyson in 1989 and knocked him out. It was, and the older generation know this. But that's all fear is. This is the most, and I'm sorry, but the older generation know this. We as the youngest generation are the strongest, the boldest, the wisest in every form you can think of, because we stand on the shoulders of Cesar Chavez. We stand on the shoulders the shoulders of Martin Luther King, of Rosa Parks, of Dolores Huerta. We stand on their shoulders, and that's what makes us great. So let's stand up. Services, not sweets, like never before. This is the time. We can't think about tomorrow. We can't think about next week or next year. We have to stop the injustice on the oppressed, on the unhoused population like never before. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vision. Thank you, Vision. Hopefully, so we have, before we close out, I wanted to take a moment to introduce this person's added on, but the thing of it is that there are solutions, and I wanted to explain where she is at formerly being unhoused. Cricketism.
Good afternoon. First thing I want to touch on is everybody out here at the Unhoused. They keep talking about parks and families and everything else, but we are a family. It's one big family. You know, and as far as people here, they would not last a day out there. Put them in a tent and let them see what we go through. You know, one of the things I wanted to touch on is there is a group out there that found their own money, that purchased hotels. They basically care about our every well-being. You know, they give you the keys to your room, and you're in a 3-star or better. Okay, and they're called people concerned. Okay, it wasn't less than 12 hours ago I was unhoused. They put me into an apartment with immediate Section 8 low-income housing, and they're actually doing this, and they're doing it on their own. You know, they bought cars to take people to their appointments. If you don't have money in your pocket, they'll give it to you, and they'll stop by your portable house and bring you food or whatever it is that you need. And they come by every day. You know, sometimes 2 to 3 times a day just to make sure you're okay. You know, I was in the hospital, and the Uber that they sent me in didn't make it to pick me up. They combed the streets till like 3, 4 in the morning just to find me. And this is when I had a diabetic stroke. So they do care, okay? And there are people that out there that will take the time to do what needs to be done, unlike them back there. But for those of you that don't know, people concerned. And they're actually doing what needs to be done.
Thank you, Cricket. As I said, like people concerned, but there's also, it doesn't let us off the hook. There's more that the city can do and should be doing. It should not be one entity. They have the money, they can do expansive more. There's over 77,000 unhoused people. Let it be a common thing that we all put our hands into the situation, because houselessness is going to affect these people in September pretty soon, and they're going to have a first-hand experience on what it's like with 41.18 come down the pipe, and trying to find out how they're going to navigate a new reality, or living with housed sensibilities. Before we close out, I wanted to thank all of us, all of the speakers, and all of the people that showed up, our media as well. People behind me that came in support. Some of us have had things to do, and I don't want to hold you all, but I want to also thank you guys, and I want us not only to meet in the light of understanding, but I also want us to walk in it and do something about it, instead of just doing lip service like the people behind us. Thank you all. We have an action that's going to be, some people want to take it to the streets. General Dogon, he has some further instructions.
What's happening, y'all? I'm Pastor Q from the Church Without Walls, Skid Row. Also with Black Lives Matter Los Angeles. And so can we do this in a BLM way? Matios, why don't y'all join me up here? Natasha, Skid Row residents, why don't y'all join me up here? We're gonna take this to the street. Who ready to take this to the street? Who ready to take this to the street? Who ready to take this to the street? Well, let's do it. Fight, fight, fight. Can somebody give me a bullhorn? Who got it? Fight, fight, fight. Housing is a human right. Fight, fight, fight. Housing is a human right. Fight, fight, fight. Housing is a human right. Fight, fight, fight. Let's go, man. Housing is a human right. Fight, fight, fight.
Guys, as you've seen, it's AB 1814.
No, it's ordinance. It's an ordinance.
It's an ordinance.
41 point. It's in our text if you want to look at the text. Read it. Read it to them.
You read it. I'm going to read you guys the ordinance. 1 second.
Housing is a human right. Housing is a human right. Housing is a human right. Housing is a human right.
Fams, we're out here. There's City Hall. You could see City Hall. We were just out in front of City Hall, and here's Fiorella.
Okay, so it's Ordinance 41.18. 41.18. It's going to effectively make homelessness illegal. Tents they're gonna come for their tents. They're gonna come for anybody that's pretty much living on the streets. They're gonna make it illegal to force them into these concentration camps, basically where they're forced into a room where they have no control. They are surveilled like they are pretty much in prison, and that's why a lot of people don't want to use these programs like Program Room Key, because they don't have a key and because they're pretty much forced to live like they committed a crime. And so a lot of the progressives that people supported, a lot of these activists that we have hung out with in years supported Kevin De Leon. They supported people like Mitch O'Farrell. They supported people like Miguel Santiago, people from the Democratic Party. These people are in power and they call themselves progressives, and they're not doing anything for these people. They're the ones pushing this law, this ordinance, and it's likely going to pass. And this is why we're here today. This is why we're covering this, because it's so important that people know that this cannot continue. And I'm just sick and tired of all the bullshit that we had to go through recently in that Medicare for All rally. And because of COVID, if they cared about COVID, if they cared about people's health, they would have given them health care. They don't do that. Look how they're pushing the freaking vaccine, but they're not fixing the very issues happening here right now. And that is something we have always pointed out, and that's why we're here today.
So right now, there's working class people in the bus, I think. So, working class people take the bus, so we're kind of disrupting the bus. This is a kind of interesting situation happening there. That happens. Usually protests let the bus go through.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, they're gonna let him through. So here we go. They let the bus through. Other people are mad. They can do a U-turn. So people are taking action. They're on the ground. They're disrupting traffic. It is a Wednesday, early day on a Wednesday at noon. Pasi, can you pull up the ordinance on your phone? I want to read it. I want to read it. Can you film it? All right, so I want y'all to know what the ordinance is. The ordinance is it's an ordinance that's going to replace 41.18 of the Los Angeles Municipal Code to specify the particular times and locations where it shall be unlawful for a person to sit, lie, or sleep, or to store, use, maintain, or place personal property in the public right-of-way. Whereas, so then they go to all the whereas. So here's the ordinance. It says, sitting, lying, or sleeping, or storing, using, maintaining, or placing personal property in the public right-of-way. No person shall, here's where it starts. No person shall obstruct a street, sidewalk, or other public right-of-way by sitting, lying, or sleeping, or by storing, using, maintaining, or placing personal property in a manner that impedes passage, as provided by the Americans with Disability Acts of 1990. By sitting, lying, or sleeping, or by storing, using, maintaining, or placing personal property within 10 feet of any operational or utilizable driveway or loading dock. By sitting or sleeping, or by storing, using, maintaining, or placing personal property within 5 feet of any operational or utilizable entrance or exit. My bad. By sitting, lying, or sleeping, or by storing, using, maintaining, or placing personal property within watch out behind you, within 2 feet of any fire hydrant, fire plug, or other fire department connection. By sitting, lying, or sleeping, or by storing, using, maintaining, or placing personal property within the public right-of-way in a manner that obstructs or reasonably interferes with the use of the right-of-way for any activity for which the city has issued a permit. Now, no person shall obstruct any portion of any street or other public right-of-way open to use by motor vehicles, or any portion of a bike lane, bike path, or other public right-of-way open to use by bicycles. By sitting, lying, or sleeping, or by storing, using, maintaining, or placing personal property anywhere within the streets, bike lane, bike path, and other public right-of-way, except as limited by Section D. No person shall sit, lie, sleep, or store personal property within the distance. So they have all these. It's like by the fire hydrant. It's by like by the public park, or by the library, by a daycare center, by a school. It says by the free ramp, tunnel, the bridge, the pedestrian bridge, the subway, by the active railway. So basically, they're just saying they're saying you can't sit, lie, sleep, or store, or maintain, or use personal property in all these places. And I'm not seeing anything else to even to help people. You know what I'm saying? And they're doing this because the Olympics are coming back into town. The Olympics are coming to town, and this group has been very actively against the Olympics coming back into town. I just want to speak. So now we're taking the road here. It's Main Street and First Street. This is in front of the police center here. You have the LAPD department right there, where you've seen multiple times Black Lives Matter has fucking been right here protesting against the police before. And we have a brother here who's with the LA Tenants Union. Hi. Brother, can we ask you a couple questions?
Sure.
So why are you out here for fighting? I mean, this ordinance, I just read the ordinance. Basically, it bans anyone from sleeping, lying, sitting, storing personal property, pretty much anywhere. So we're going to see a lot of these police go and try and get rid of these houses, these tents.
Basically, this is empower the police and the city to displace all the homeless out of the city. And the middle of a health crisis and the middle of a housing crisis, it's only making things worse without a solution. And more importantly, if we pay attention, most of the people who live on the streets are African Americans. So this is a banishment of black lives from the city with endorsement of Latino and black politicians. But not only that, it's the city deciding that the poor cannot live in Los Angeles anymore. This is just the beginning or the continuation of a war against the poor in Los Angeles. They just want to get the services from the community, but they don't want them to live in the city.
And a lot of this has to do with the Olympics coming into town, right?
Exactly. I mean, this cycle has repeated itself. It's repetition of the past, and that's part of the problem, that the city continues to do the same. And that's why I was saying we need to think beyond what the city decides. We need to organize and change the conditions of the city. Because if we're waiting for the city to do this, they will do that every time to promote investment, to promote speculation, and to continue displacing the poor from the communities.
Now, you're with the LA Tenants Union. Can you tell us about the work you've done so far to help?
In LA Tenants Union, as the crisis has developed, we have a lot of illegal evictions and displacement, and we have organizing brigades that defend the tenants so they cannot be evicted by frivolous landlords and landlords that are not obeying the law. But again, that's not enough. The housing that they're renting, people are going to lose it. We need to start developing more strategies like taking over the land and property. There's a lot of empty apartments across the city that need to be taken over.
There are resources there, there's money there, there's space there. The fact that they're not, that the city council, who are progressives, again, and Democrats, are not doing anything is really a shame. So thank you, brother, for talking. Is there anything else you want to tell the audience?
We just need to join the fight and stop these displacements and these irrational laws and join the groups that are fighting this fight.
Thank you so much, brother. And what's your name one more time?
Leonardo Vilches from Los Angeles Tenants Union.
Thank you.
Yo, here in the middle of the streets, live protest going right now, fighting against what ordinance?
41.18.
And what is 41.18 about, Phoenix?
It's basically criminalization of the homeless. It's it's basically just screwing people's rights over. It's they're removing people off the streets, but they're not providing housing or adequate conditions to take said people off the streets. The only thing that they're really offering is carceral shelter that the conditions are comparable to prison. They're comparable to mental health mental hospitals. So our whole thing here is, we the 7th richest economy in the world. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We got all the money and resources in the world. We have the #1 homelessness rate. So it goes beyond just, people are lazy and this, that, and the third. You got people that are working, 40 hours a week and still living in a truck. So it's a systematic issue, and we're just here to tell these politicians put up or shut up. If they don't want to use the funding right, give the funding to the people. We'll buy some land, we'll get some resources, and we'll do it ourselves.
You talked about that. You talk about taking matters in your own hand. You talked about mutual aid. Give us a little bit more in depth about what's going on, because once again, 7th richest fucking money we have, #1 in homeless. So how do we, the people, take this matter into our own hands?
Like I said, I think it starts with funding. It starts with getting land. Once you get a foundation of land, then the world is your playground. You can build from that. You can teach people trades. You can teach people how to grow and barter their own food. Mind you, this current system that we have, industrial system, it's only been around maybe a couple hundred years. People have been living off the land since the beginning of time. And if conditions continue, mind you, you got the eviction moratorium coming up in I believe September. Yeah. So this problem's only going to get worse. If you take thousands upon people out the streets today, there's going to be 5,000 more tomorrow. Yeah. So in terms of how we take our power back, it's just we got to build. Yeah. It's like I had mentioned the movie A Bug's Life earlier, and we're the ants and they're the grasshoppers. Yeah. We either work for them or we put that work in toward ourselves. Yeah. So in terms of how do we take the power back, it's just we got to build our own shit. We get land, we start growing our own food, we start using solar panel technology. You have a lot of people that are already doing this now, in places like Oregon and Seattle and things of that such, where people are going off the grid. You know what I'm saying? They're creating RV parks. They're just doing the damn thing, basically. So yeah, it just comes down to we got to do the damn thing. I think the hardest goal right now is the money, obviously, because even though it's fiat, right? Even though it's our money hasn't been worth shit since the Federal Reserves, but unfortunately, right now, as it stands, it's still a necessary evil type thing. So I think once enough people come together,
Well, how do we get people to come together? How do they get in this fight? How do we join forces?
I think it starts with just, following your local organizations. I'm with ATTACK, which is Unhoused Tenants Against Carceral Housing, following organizations like Streetwatch, and just kind of studying what we're doing. And I think eventually, once we get enough numbers, my idea is I think we should sit down and have a fundraiser. Maybe have a big community day where we go in the park, we tell people what we're about, and just say, hey, we're trying to buy land. We're trying to commandeer some hotel rooms. See if we can buy our own hotel rooms, and then we can house the people for the people without, the carceral restrictions and all the bullshit that comes with it. So,
well, hey, man, you got to come on the show soon. You got to come do it with us, Phoenix, presenting solutions. We got to come together, baby. Thank you, baby. We're going to hit around this thing here. We're in the middle. Have you ever done an interview in the middle of the street? We're in the middle of Main Street and First. Traffic stop, cars here, and we're doing interviews.
I'll give a little update that there's been a couple cars. There's a guy in a Range Rover who just flicked off everybody. It's a small delay to the thing. I'm worried about the buses. That's about thing. That's about it. But let's listen to what they're gonna say here. Let's switch it.
This is a warning. 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 We'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back. What do we want? What do we want? When do we want it? Now. When do we want it? Now. If we don't get it, if we don't get it, if we don't get it, because this is a warning. This is a warning. This is a warning. This is a warning. Ashe. All right, y'all. Let's move on.
All right, we're gonna move.
Gave them a warning.
Main and First Street.
We let them know.
Buses are coming through.
And now we're gonna move on.
Now they're moving on. All right, so you disrupted some traffic. That's good. Direct action, making people aware, making people pissed. So here we are. Do you want to say anything?
We don't want no little boxes. We don't want no little cubicles. We want dignified housing. Housing that these people in these buildings live in, with nice swimming pools and big old bathrooms and large fireplaces and backyards. We deserve to have the amenities that the people deserve. It is a human right to have a space of this land if you were born on the earth, and it's ours equally. How dare they? How dare they hog the land? We don't want no cubicles. We don't want no apartments. We want houses.
House keys! I will make it happen. House keys!
They're finishing up. They said they came for a warning. Their warning. They shouted out against Mayor Garcetti, who's going to India. He's on his way to India, Mayor Garcetti. He can't even control the city, but he's on his way to India because he's part of the Biden administration team. That goes to show you how great the Biden administration team is, just to let you all know. Right?
Yeah, Garcetti's been terrible here in the city. Everybody hates him, left and right. You've seen Trumpers out here outside of Garcetti's house. You've seen BLM outside of his house. It's hilarious.
Fuck Garcetti.
Everybody's saying fuck Garcetti, so they bailed him out. Biden got a little job. That's fucking... there's some family there about, Garcetti there. He's got some family ties there somewhere in the Democratic Establishment Party, brother. So, yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and protect one another.
We must love and protect one another.
We have nothing to lose but our chains. It is our duty to fight for freedom.
It is our duty to fight for freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and protect one another.
We must love and protect one another.
We have nothing to lose but our chains. It is our duty to fight for freedom.
It is our duty to fight for freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and protect one another.
We must love and protect one another.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
Everybody, if you want to go back to City Hall, if not, thank you. The vote will continue.
All right, so some of our houseless residents are going back to Skid Row. Well, let's go back to City Hall. I want to see if we can find somebody from some of the organizations that came out just to talk. We win. Convo Couch here on the ground. I was just thinking about it last night. You know, the name of the Convo Couch, it has a different meaning now because, you know, the conversations start on the couch. With you and your family, you have the conversations. Or if you and your friends, you have a get-together, you have conversations on the couch. Eventually, you get so into the conversations, you get past that wall of ignorance that perhaps people have up, and it's a beautiful thing. You get all this energy, you get this high, you get high off the people. And then once you get high off the people, you got to get your ass off that couch. I know you will. I know you do it. And once you get your ass off that couch, you get actions. You take actions. You get movements going. So that's why it's the Convo Couch, because we all started from the couch. And that's we had conversations on the couch, and that's where it all started. And now look where we are. We've been on the ground. We've been nationwide. We've been international. And that's what we're doing. That's why we're doing what we're doing. We've seen some police come out. We have a parking enforcement guy. Didn't do anything. He was just kind of looking at it. A couple of the police over there came out. Everyone's marching back to City Hall. Some people went back to Skid Row. They're still chanting and chanting about housing as a human right. So that's what they're doing. And we're gonna listen. We're gonna keep listening. Hold on for a second.
That we were doing, we need to figure out how I was going to present it.
Happy birthday, Chloe!
Sorry. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
There's a question.
Great job out there. Make sure those buses y'all are better at this shit. We've seen you out here sometimes. Your first time?
Very first.
She's taking a lead and she's like, the buses go through.
We respect it. That's right. You gotta, if you're for the people, that's
right.
Socialist system right now.
There you go.
All right, though.
You know, only Democrats, and that wasn't the whole. That wasn't what it was about. She got in trouble.
I appreciate the thing. You will?
United, and now with COVID, they're using COVID as an excuse to not allow people.
Yeah. They're trying to
But they don't give you health care, so.
Let's see it. I'm gonna go grab the car, pull up, or free medicines or any of that shit. But
Yeah.
it was 20. I'll hit you up. Okay. Hey, what is all this about?
So they're trying to pass an ordinance. It's called 41.18. 41.18.
Did you get a ride with Tommy?
On the ones and twos. Yeah, you sound like learn how to do it and do it all in 2 seconds. Look on this face.
Our next ever talk with the guys called.
Yeah, you see. Gustavo! Hey! Good job! Yeah.
Sorry about the language.
No, it's good.
Too much pain on here.
They asked for it.
I like it. I like it.
Great.
Yeah, it's okay.
Happy being here.
Good job.
It's anger. No, there's anger. It's real. Yeah.
Wasn't like that before.
Hey, they're fired up. That's right.
They asked for it.
That's right.
Oh yeah, right. I double booked them. Hey, good work.
Hey, great one, man.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, it's really good. Okay, stay out of the heat. Bye-bye.
I appreciate you guys' work.
Thank you, brother. It means a lot. It really means a lot.
Play that team politics shit. You guys. Oh, you guys have been around for a while, right? I just started last year.
There's a bunch of, oh no, maybe someone already grabbed the water. There was a ton of water over there. Well, looks like they're gonna pass it out.
They still have some there in the cooler, I think.
Okay, cool.
You guys still demonetized?
Oh yeah. It's too hot.
You spoke your mind.
Yeah, you guys do it on the Rokfin. Yeah. This is Google about YouTube. It's not even YouTube.
We're doing a pretty bomb show.
How many guys are there?
I'm gonna cut this. All right. I'm gonna sign this.
Thank you so much for coming through.
Hey, we're signing off, fams. Thanks for joining us. It looks like the protest is pretty much done. Hopefully this ordinance doesn't pass. It looks like they're probably going to pass it because the power of the Olympics is pretty high. It's pretty shit. And they're basically criminalizing being homeless. And they're giving the police a reason to go and terrorize these our unhoused neighbors. And we have the pigs. You have pigs of all colors. You got pigs of all colors. And yeah, so basically there's Democrats, progressive Democrats in city council right now. And yeah, they're probably gonna pass this. So you got Kevin De Leon, you got Mark Ridley Thomas, and it looks like they might pass it. So that's pretty bad. So we're gonna keep on this story. We've made friends with multiple contacts here. We're gonna keep it going. Jonny Tsunami, Jonathan Mayorga from the Convo Couch here, signing off. Thank you guys for watching. Convo out.